Welcome back to the Belief Lab. I'm Dr. Wendi Zimmer, and I'm so glad you're here today. If this is your first time joining me, I want you to know that this is the place where belief gets tested, stretched, and turned into strategy. And I don't know about you, but I need this today. And so I'm so glad you're here. If you've been here before, you know that this is where inspiration meets research and action. And that's what we need, guys. We need action. So we're going to get started on that today. Every week, we take one belief principle and we make it practical. Practical. We don't have time anymore to not be practical so that you can live, work, and lead with clarity, courage, and confidence. Because belief isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. And when you build belief, everything else changes. Before we dive in, I want you to think about 5 questions. 5 questions that I'm going to pose to you. And if you can say yes to any of these 5 questions, you're in the right place today. So the first one is, do you ever feel like no matter how much you do, it's never enough? Second one, have you mastered time management strategies but still feel exhausted and behind? Third, do you find yourself saying, I just don't have time, even for things that matter the most? Fourth, do you feel guilty for resting or stepping back as if productivity equals your worth? And 5, have you ever thought if I just had more hours in the day, I'd finally be caught up? That's a big one for me. If any of those questions hit home, this episode is for you because productivity isn't really about your calendar or your clock. It's about what you believe about your time, your worth, and your energy. So we're going to dig today into 3 core points that really will help us think about the connection between productivity and belief. And if you have people in your life that you know are not being as productive as they want to be, and maybe it's because of their belief and lack of belief in themselves, or that they need to strengthen the belief in themselves, send this episode to them. We are in this together, and the more we can help one another, the better. So let's dive in. The first point that I want to talk about today, and all 3 of these points are really good. So make sure you stay to the end because it's going to really change your productivity. It has massively changed mine. So the first point is that belief defines productivity. So I want you to recognize that productivity is not moving faster. We always think it's doing more, doing more, doing more. How can I achieve more in less time? But it's actually moving forward in ways that align with your values, not what other people tell you to value, not what you think should be a priority in your life, but what you truly value. When I was getting my PhD, I hustled like crazy. I hustled like crazy. And it was a, different time in my life. When you try to accomplish something like getting a PhD or working on a big project, it requires a different level of hustle. But the problem is that even after I had graduated and had my probably last degree, I still continued on that rat race. I still continued in that hustle. And no matter what I did, I didn't feel closer to what I wanted. I didn't feel closer to achieving my dreams. I finally had to figure out that running in circles and constantly spinning my wheels and doing more and adding more to my checklist was not giving me what I wanted. It was just increasing my stress and increasing my anxiety. And maybe you've been there. Maybe you feel like that now, where you're trying to do all the things and you're trying to check all the boxes and you're trying to live up to this expectation that you've set for yourself or someone else has set for you, and you're not actually moving forward. You're just running in place. I had to stop and reevaluate. And that's what I encourage you to do as well. Because now, when I realized that I was running in circles and not getting anywhere, and I started aligning my belief with what I value, my life changed. Because that's where I am now. I'm still busy. Please understand, I'm still busy. I'm a mother, I'm a professor, I coach and consult on the side. I'm trying to build my business. I'm a wife. I have all these other expectations, and I am busy. But because now I focus on aligning my beliefs with my values, I do less. I do less. I stop and think about, before I add something to my list, Does this really align with my value, with who I am, with what I'm working for? Or am I just continuing to run that rat race and running in place and not actually going anywhere? Because now that I move forward with belief and clarity, I achieve way more than I ever did before. And this is just isn't my experience. This is based on research as well. In 2022, Gallup put out a poll, and what they found is employees who connect daily tasks to their larger purpose are 5 times more engaged and less likely to burn out. 5 times more engaged. They've also found, in additional research also done in 2022, that purpose-driven workers report 2 times higher productivity and 4 times higher well-being. If we connect with our belief, if we align with our values and our purpose, productivity just accelerates. Stanford researchers have been working on this for over a decade as well. And what they have found is overwork actually decreases productivity. After 50 hours, your output drops significantly. And after 55 hours, it flatlines. So doing more is not the answer. Doing more is not going to get us what we want. Doing more is not going to help us move forward and achieve what we've been searching for. It just continues to allow us to run in constant circles and not help us reach what we want. Because without belief, productivity is that endless busy work. It's running in circles. But with belief, productivity is meaningful forward motion. You know what you're going after, why, and you set your sights on it. It's not just checking boxes. It's not just scratching things off a list. And I get it. I'm guilty of it too. I love a good to-do list. I love a good checklist. But the items on my to-do list, when I shifted my thinking and I made sure that the items on there were aligned with what I wanted as much as possible, it's not a perfect world. There are still things that I have to do that aren't necessarily aligned with my purpose. But as much as I can, when those items are aligned with my purpose, that's when change happens. That's when there's forward action. Because productivity is a belief filter. And you have to ask yourself, does this action align with what I believe matters most? And if it doesn't, can I remove it? Can I take it off my checklist? So if productivity is about belief and alignment, point one, the next question we have to ask ourselves is, what happens when our belief is misaligned? Well, that's where overwhelm sneaks in. Because misaligned belief, point two, creates overwhelm. I love listening to Marie Forleo. She has a fantastic book called Everything is Figure Outable. And one of the things she talks about is creating mantras in her life. And she has a mantra that says, I don't do overwhelm. And I've adopted that into my life as well. If it speaks to you, please add it to yours. I have a Post-it note on my monitor at the office that says, I don't do overwhelm. And yes, there are days where I don't live up to that mantra as well as I would like. But I'm not overwhelmed. You're not overwhelmed. We are not overwhelmed because we have too much to do. We are overwhelmed because we believe we can't stop. We believe we have to continue running that rat race, and our belief is misaligned. I work with a colleague who always said, if anyone asks him for anything, his answer is always, I'm too busy, so busy, I'm so very busy. And it's kind of, he says it in jest, where he's laughing or whatever that looks like, but it's become his mantra. It's become what he lives by, and he is busy, and he never seems to be able to catch up. And I see that stress for him, and it's easy for us to get in that situation where you literally feel like you're so buried under your tasks that you can't get up for air. And our response and our excuse or our reason generally is, I'm so busy, I don't have time. I don't have time to go to lunch with colleagues. I don't have time to do these extra things for my family. I don't have time to take care of myself. But it's actually, we don't make time. There's a shift in thinking there. We don't make time. It's not that we don't have time. We don't make time. And I'm not saying that we should make time for every single thing. We shouldn't. But we should make time for the things that align with our belief, because that misalignment creates overwhelm. So until we really start aligning it, then you do just have one more thing, one more thing, one more thing, one more thing, and you are too busy to do anything else because you're not making time. What do you want to make time for in your life? What does that look like? We get to choose. We get to choose. If that's going to be doom scrolling on our phone, I mean, that's your choice. If you need a day to just doom scroll on your phone, that's your choice. Should you do it every day? Absolutely not. But if it comes down to I can doom scroll on my phone, or I can go out to lunch with a friend, or I can sit next to my child and read them a book, or you choose, we choose. What do we want to make time for? That alignment reduces overwhelm. Because the real shift happens when you change your belief behind the workload, when you change your belief around what it looks like for you to be busy. A lot of people wear busyness as a badge of look how busy I am, look how important I am, look how, much I'm getting done. But is that actually true? Or are you connecting yourself and your value to how busy you are instead of how much you're actually getting done? I did that for years. I did it for years. And the guilt that I felt because of that, if I wasn't busy, if I had a 30-minute block on my calendar that wasn't filled, there was so much guilt associated with that. If I just didn't do more things, I felt like I had to fill every single day. Now I look at it differently. And because my belief is aligned, and because I look at workload differently, my belief around workload has changed, I don't do overwhelm. So the American Psychological Association in 2023 found that 79% of employees report work stress due to workload and lack of clarity. So if you're feeling that today, it is not just you. It is not just you. It is felt by so many people. It is insane. Insane. And additional research found that 53% of women say burnout is the biggest barrier to performance because we always feel like we're on. It's this always on culture that we have created as a society. We're always in a moment of having to be on. But if we reframe overwhelm as a signal, not a failure, this is research from the University of Kansas. If we reframe overwhelm as a signal, not a failure, then we reduce our stress response, which then increases our problem-solving ability because we start to see overwhelm as a sign that something is misaligned. We have to recognize that overwhelm is not about hours. It's about identity. If you believe, if I believe, if we believe we can't rest or we have to prove our worth through our productivity, we will always be maxed out because we'll always be trying to prove we are worthy. Where instead, if we adopt a new belief and say, I don't do overwhelm, right? I lead with clarity. That changes our belief and it changes how we look at workload. And that's a huge piece in this conversation, a huge piece in how we define productivity and how we define workload and what that looks like in our life. It makes a massive, massive difference. I don't know if you've noticed the sun coming in on my face. I am at a women's leadership retreat this week. I'm in about 2 hours outside of Nashville, Tennessee, and you can see my background is different. And yes, I'm here to invest in myself, and I'm here to strengthen who I am in my own personal and professional development. But I'm still filming my podcast. I'm still doing work. I'm still answering emails. And I had a friend when she heard that I was going on this retreat who was like, why are you bringing your laptop? Why would you do that? Just get away. Just get away. Don't do that to yourself. Don't make yourself feel guilty because you're not working. And I had to explain to her, it's not about, I don't feel guilty. I don't feel guilty. I want to be here filming my podcast. I want to be here doing work. I'm aligning my beliefs with my productivity. Will I work all day? Absolutely not. After I record this podcast, I will put away my laptop for a while. I'm going to go on a walk because the sun is rising and it's a beautiful day outside. I'm going to continue to drink my tea because I'm aligning my beliefs with my productivity. It doesn't mean I stop doing everything, but I focus on what really matters to me right now. What am I going to make time for? And I love it. It brings me joy. It brings me joy. It's not about guilt that I'm not getting things done. It's joy in doing the things that matter most to me. And there's a difference. And here's the best part. When you believe differently, not only do you escape that overwhelm, but you actually get more done in less time. So let's talk about how. Because my third point that I want to bring up is that belief multiplies time. You don't need more hours in the day. You need more belief in what you choose to do with them. What you choose to do with them. And I know that is such a reframe because I'm guilty of saying, if I just had a few more hours in the day, if I just had a few more hours in the day. But as I mentioned before, it's a choice. It's a choice what we make time to do. Are we going to make time to focus on our family? Are we going to make time to focus on our health? Are we going to make time to focus on the things that we're wanting? Because even if you're in a situation where you work 8 to 5, or maybe more, maybe you work more than 40 hours a week, there are still times on your calendar where we can go in and we can say, okay, what am I doing during these times when I'm not at work? What does that look like? Am I spending a lot of my time doing what I want to be doing, or am I spending a lot of my time doing just the same things that I've always done? Sitting on the couch watching TV, scrolling through social media. And while those things aren't inherently bad, and there's a lot of research behind it that I'm not going to get into, is that really what you want to be doing? Is that really what you want to be making time for? And so much of this, please don't misunderstand me, is about intentionality. If we don't think about it, if we don't plan, if we don't go, okay, I have an hour this afternoon, what do I want to do during that time? Then we fall back into our same old routine. It's normal. We all do it. But when you align, that belief gives you permission to say no. No, I'm not going to waste my whole afternoon. I may need to do nothing this afternoon just today. I may need that for my mental, physical health, but I'm not going to do that every day. Tomorrow, I have extra time. I'm going to make time to do this. I'm going to call a friend. I'm going to reach out to a colleague. I'm going to take myself to a movie. I'm going to grab a cup of tea and sit on the back porch. I'm going to make intentional effort. And I realized for years, I thought it shouldn't be that hard. I shouldn't have to really think about what I'm going to do in my free time, in my spare time, but you do. Because if you don't think about it and you don't plan it, then you just get caught up in the same old routine and you're going to go back to what you've always done. The University of Chicago did a study in 2021, and what they found is people who believe they have agency over their time, they have choice, they have control over their time, report 31% greater life satisfaction and higher productivity. 31%. That is us. That is us. Because when we stop and have intentionality behind what am I doing during my time and choosing, making time for what we want, that life satisfaction increases. Parkinson's law talks about work expands to fill the time you give it. Period. If I give, and think about it, we've all done this. If I give myself an hour to work on a project, it's going to take an hour. If I give myself 5 hours to work on that same project, it's going to take 5 hours. Work expands to fill the time we give it. So we've got to start looking at our workload differently and going, how much time should I give to this task? How much time do I need to lay out to do this well? Not perfect, but well. And when we start chunking our days that way, if we start thinking about workload from a perspective of how much time am I going to give this item, this task, this thing on my calendar, then it allows us to organize our life differently. Organize our life differently. And that's one takeaway I hope you have from today is really thinking about pull out your calendar and go, what's happening tomorrow? What do I need to do tomorrow? How can I schedule time in my calendar to do those things? And it'll take a little work at the beginning because we always underestimate how much time things are going to take us. But growing, I need to do this task for this person or for my job or for my work or whatever that looks like. And I'm going to give it this much time. And you're going to block into your calendar what it is you need to do and then see what times you have left. After you block in the things that you have to do, see what times you have left and then fill those with what you want to do. Again, aligning with your belief. It makes a massive, massive difference. Because high performers spend 20 to 30% of their time on activities directly tied to their strength. Average performers spend less than 10%. But you're not going to know what activities are directly tied to your strengths until you start aligning with your purpose, your beliefs. What does that look like? And we are high performers. Y'all are here today because you are high performers. You are investing in yourself. You want to find ways to increase your self-belief, to increase your productivity. So thinking about how can you be more intentional about where you spend your time, making time for what matters most. Belief expands our capacity. It cannot expand our hours. Nothing can expand our hours, but it expands our capacity. Time multiplies when we align our energy with our core values. So I want to give you a strategy to try this week, in addition to time blocking on your calendar. So every morning, ask yourself 3 questions. What do I believe matters most today? What do I believe only I can do? And what do I believe I can release? When I evaluate my day that way, what do I believe matters most today? Right? I'm aligning my beliefs. What do I believe only I can do? It's my strengths. Nobody else can accomplish this task. And then what do I believe I can release, give to someone else, or not worry about today because it is not a priority? That helps me frame my day and it'll help you as well. Because when you start your day with those questions, you stop managing minutes and you start leading with belief. And that's where productivity transforms. This is not about managing minutes anymore. This is about figuring out, where do you want to spend your time? What do you want to make time for? And maximizing that as you can. So those are our 3 points for today. Belief defines productivity. Misaligned belief creates overwhelm. And belief multiplies time. Productivity is a belief-driven alignment. Because overwhelm comes from misaligned belief. It's not too many tasks. We've got to shift our way of thinking about what it means for us to feel overwhelmed. Belief will multiply your time when you filter actions through what truly matters to you. To you, the life you want, the goals you set for yourself. So this week, try that 10-second belief reset. When you're overwhelmed, say, I don't do overwhelm. I lead with clarity. Then answer those 3 belief questions. What do I believe matters most today? What do I believe only I can do? And what do I believe I can release? You'll be amazed the difference that will make. And it's a simple routine we can add to our morning every day. I'm so glad you were here. And I'm so glad that you took the time to invest in yourself. I hope this episode helped you see productivity differently. Realizing productivity is not just about tasks on your checklist. If today spoke with you, share this episode with a friend who's stuck in that cycle of busyness, who says, I'm so busy, I can't do the things that I want to do. Remind them that productivity is not about time. It's about belief. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, leave a review, and join me next week for another powerful belief shift here in the Belief Lab. Remember, belief is your starting point for everything. Build it here, and you can build anything. I believe you. See you next week.